Hey guys, Tyler here, and thanks for checking out this video. And I decided to do a 9.0.5 Marksman Hunter guide for those of you that are picking up Marksman for the first time here in Shadowlands, as well as update the 9.0 guide that I released earlier in the year. Things have changed just a little bit, and I wanted to have a guide out there to reflect that. So, let's get started.
Mr. Eggplant presents.
So just like with all my other guides, I will have timestamps down below, and I will segment the video. That way you guys can look for a certain part if that's what you're interested in. And then also I will update this as things change. Things do change throughout the tier, and be sure and look in the description of the video or a pinned comment, and I will put all of the changes down there. So the first thing to do in Shadowlands is to choose a Covenant, and there are 4 different ones. For Raid and for Mythic Plus, for Marksman Hunter, I highly suggest Night Fae. A large majority of Marksmen are of course playing Night Fae with Naya. It has a 2-minute cooldown on Wild Spirits, which is your big ability. It's a big circle, which does damage every time you attack something in it. It lasts for 18 seconds when you're using the correct conduit, and then it allows you to have high burst with your cooldowns, and it has a 2-minute cooldown exactly like True Shot, which is great for guaranteed large burst of single target and AoE every 2 minutes. And as for PvP, I would choose Kyrian. It gives you a smaller circle on the ground called Resonating Arrow. It's a 1-minute cooldown, so you do get it out twice as much as Night Fae do with their Wild Spirits. It gives you a 30% chance to crit and allows you to ignore line of sight as long as the target is in the circle or they have left the circle. You have 4 seconds to still ignore line of sight with them. It is a 10-second window, so it's a little bit smaller. But again, this video is not here to tell you you cannot play Necrolord or Venthyr. They are good in their own little niche ways. There's still several people that are out there playing and doing really well, doing high keys, doing mythic bosses, and they're not playing Night Fae and they're not playing Kyrian. So now that you've picked your Covenant, you need to pick your Soulbind. And for Night Fae, I would suggest Naya. She's actually the strongest of the 4 that we're going to talk about. So for the Potency Conduit, you want to pick Spirit Attunement, which makes your Wild Spirits last 3 seconds longer, and then do increased damage while it's up. The Finesse Conduit you want to pick up is Reversal of Fortune. Whenever you successfully interrupt an enemy, it gives you X amount of focus, which is just really nice for PvP and PvE situations. And then you need to pick up 2 Endurance Conduits to get Naya's Burrs down at the bottom. So this one you can kind of pick and choose 2 of the 4, either Harmony of the Tortollan, Markman's Advantage, Rejuvenating Wind, and Resilience of the Hunter. I tend to pick Markman's Advantage and then also Rejuvenating Wind, but that's really up to you. Harmony of the Tortollan can be really good if you need that little bit of a cooldown on your aspect of the turtle. So if you're going to pick Kyrian, you want to run with Pelagos. The Potency Conduit you want to pick up is Enfeebled Mark, which just you do more damage to things that are inside your Resonating Arrow, which is really the goal. And then you pick up 2 Endurance Conduits, so much like Naya, and really all 4 of these. It's really something that you want to pick, either Markman's Advantage, Rejuvenating Wind, Resilience of the Hunter, or Harmony of the Tortollan. Those will be the ones you probably change the most in various situations. From there, the other potency you want to pick up is Powerful Precision. You could also pick up Sharpshooter's Focus, which increases the duration of your True Shot, but I prefer Powerful Precision. And then, like I said earlier, that last Endurance Conduit is really your choice. I tend to choose Markman's Advantage and then Rejuvenating Wind. If you want to pick Necrolord, I would suggest picking the Bonesmith. The first Potency Conduit you want to run with is going to be Sharpshooter's Focus, which increases the duration of your True Shot. From there, the Finesse Conduit you want to pick is, once again, a Reversal of Fortune. It's by far the best of all of the Finesse Conduits. Then from there, 2 more Endurance Conduits. We've already talked about that. I prefer Markman's Advantage and Rejuvenating Wind for most situations. And then finally, if you're going to pick Venthyr, I would pick Nausea the Mistblade. The potency you want to run with is Empowered Release. It just gives your Flayed Shot an additional chance to proc Flayer's Mark and increases the damage of your next kill shot. From here, this is the only tree where you get 2 Finesse Conduits, so I would pick Reversal of Fortune for the Interrupt, and then also, it's really up to you. I tend to like Cheetah's Vigor, but that's really, it's a personal preference, and then the 1 Endurance Conduit is your choice as well. I just prefer Markman's Advantage. Rejuvenating Wind is really good as well, particularly if you're just, doing quest, that sort of thing. So now that we've got Covenants behind us, let's go ahead and go to our stat priority. So in Shadowlands, still like every other expansion, weapon DPS is king. It doesn't matter what the secondaries are on the weapon, as long as it does more DPS, it just increases your damage by that much more. followed by agility, then crit strike, mastery, haste, and then versatility. But of course, if you are PvPing, versatility is more important secondary stat. You want to be running with like 20% plus. The more the better. It just means you do more damage and then you take less damage. And of course, those trinkets will also buff the amount of versatility you have. And of course, if you are someone who is new to the spec and you're struggling in PvE with your focus regeneration, I would suggest adding more haste. I currently run with 7 to 9%, but I would never go more than 15% haste because it's really kind of wasted at that point. So before we get into our opener and then our rotation, let's go ahead and talk about our talents for both AoE and single target. We don't have too many options, unfortunately, right now. I'm hoping 9.1 changes that. But for single target, you want to run with Master Marksman and then Careful Aim. From here, I like to run with Trailblazer when I'm just in the open world, and then Camouflage whenever I'm in Arena. But then I would choose Natural Mending if you're in a raid situation, then Steady Focus, Post Haste, but this is one that you can choose. I either choose Born to be Wild if it's needed, or Post Haste. For example, if you don't need to get out of roots, I would run with Born to be Wild. In the level 45, I would do Double Tap, and then of course level 50, I would do Lock and Load. Calling the shots, if they change some legendaries around, might be viable later on in the expansion, but for right now, Lock and Load is the way to go. And then as for AoE, it doesn't really change too much. In an AoE situation, you still run with Master Marksman, then Explosive Shot. This one is again something that you can choose. I still prefer Trailblazer in Overworld, and then Natural Mending in a raid or in a Mythic Plus situation. Then I would run with Streamline, which increases your damage of rapid fire and makes your aim shots cast faster the next one after your rapid fire. Here you can also choose. I would choose Post Haste though in Mythic Plus situations, particularly if you're running places like Mists. You can get out of a lot of roots in there. Then here at level 45, still run with Double Tap, and then at level 50, I would run with Volley. Next, we need to look at our opener and our rotation. It's very, very important and vital for marksman hunters to get this right to do the most DPS possible. So I will split this up between single target and for AoE. I'll do both an opener and rotation for each, and then I will show you guys a video of myself on my marksman hunter doing both openers. So as for the single target opener, I would precast Double Tap with 10 seconds left on your pull timer, and then precast Aim Shot with 2.5 seconds left. That way, when your aim shot hits the boss, it's going to be right at 0 and you're ready to go. Then I would Steady Shot times 2, that way you have your Steady Focus buff up for the duration of the opener. Then I would use Wild Spirits, and then True Shot. If you are a Kyrian hunter, I would swap those, so I would use True Shot, then Resonating Arrow, because True Shot's the longer cooldown, so it'll be up for the duration of Resonating Arrow. And then of course in my True Shot, I do have it macroed to where it uses my On-Use Trinket, which is a 2-minute trinket, as well as my Racial, which is also 2 minutes. So we'll talk about that in the macro section of this video. From there, then you'll go Aim Shot, Rapid, Aimed, Steady, Rapid, aimed, and then finally ending it up with an Arcane Shot, which is usually like right at the last second, which will be empowered and still do some good damage. So after the opener, we have a rotation priority. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a true blue rotation. First off, you want to make sure and keep your Steady Focus haste buff up at all times. I like to shoot for at least 85% uptime, particularly on like a single target boss. I could even get to 90 or 92 or so. Then I would Double Tap on cooldown. You use it on Aim Shot unless you are running with the Surging Shots legendary. Then I would use it on your rapid fire. Then I would use True Shot in Wild Spirits, or True Shot and your Resonating Arrow on cooldown. I would use them together if you are Night Fae. I would use it every other one, obviously, if you are Kyrian. Then use all your empowered Arcane Shots whenever you're outside of your True Shot window. Make sure you don't waste those. Use your Rapid Fire on cooldown. Don't let your aim shots cap out on charges, which is usually not an issue. It feels like it drags on forever. And then, of course, Steady Shot in pairs as needed for your focus regeneration. Now let's move into our AoE opener, and this is just assuming that you have all of your cooldowns up for the pull. I would Explosive Shot, then Double Tap, Wild Spirits, Volley, then True Shot, and of course True Shot is also macroed into my Trinket and then my Racial, so that's when I would use those. Then Aim Shot, Rapid Fire, Aimed, then your Volley will have dropped off, so then you have to use your multi-shots, then Aimed, then Multi, Rapid Fire, Multi, and then finally Aim Shot. And like I said down there below, if you are Kyrian, I would just swap Resonating Arrow for Wild Spirits, and I would use True Shot 3rd and Resonating Arrow 5th. And now we have our AoE Rotation Priority. So this is, again, not necessarily a rotation, it's just more of a priority system, and it really has been for Marksman Hunters since, I think, at least Legion. So you want to use Explosive Shot on cooldown. It is one of your biggest CDs every 30 seconds. Use your True Shot in Wild Spirits or True Shot in Resonating Arrow on cooldown. Use them together as much as possible. Use your Volley on cooldown and multi-shot before casting Rapid Fire or Aimed whenever 3 targets are present and you don't have the Volley Trick Shots buff. Rapid Fire on cooldown. Don't let your aim shots once again cap on charges. Use all of your empowered Arcane, Multi, or Chimera shots, whatever you may be using there. And then finally, Steady Shot as needed for your focus regeneration. And real quick, I wanted to talk about Trinkets. There are quite a few different ones for Marksman Hunter to choose from. First one is going to be Hateful Chain, and these aren't in any certain order. Whenever you have a higher health than the boss or target, it will go ahead and do damage. If you have lower, it will heal. Then we have the Quantum Device. It has several different options. It's really good for the buff. That gives you like 700 or 750 of your secondary, so either Mastery or Crit. It does give your healer mana if they're below 20%, or if somebody in your party is below 20%, it will heal them for a great deal. This one has kind of fallen off, of course, as soon as they get to 226, because you can't always guarantee that you get that monster amount of stats for 20 seconds. Here also is going to be Stone Legion Heraldry. This is going to be a really good one. The more Stone Legionnaires you have in the party, it increases the amount of versatility that the Trinket provides by 5% for each additional person. So if you see some really high parses in Raid, it's probably because they're running with literally like 10 or 15 of these Stone Legion Heraldries. Also, we have the Awakener's Frond, which I'm currently using, that you get from doing quests. It is really good because it gives you a huge amount of haste, which is equivalent, the 194 version, to 20% haste, which is basically like a PI. It's really nice. It has a 2-minute cooldown, so it goes right into my True Shot, and I never even notice it. And then also, Dreadfire is really good off of Sire Denathrius. It's on a minute 30 cooldown and does a large amount of damage, which is an on-use trinket. And then, of course, we have the Overcharged Anima Battery, which doesn't give you as much haste. It gives you haste for longer and additional speed, and it has a lower cooldown than the Frond. But overall, I really like the Frond now that I got my hands on it. And really quick, let's talk about legendaries. Marksman doesn't really have many legendaries that are worthwhile. There are really only 2, maybe 3 eventually that will be good. The first one is going to be Serpent Stalker's Trickery, which drops out of Plaguefall. This is pretty much the go-to one. In single target, it's superior, does like 8 to 10% of your damage overall with the Serpent Sting that it provides each time you cast your aim shot. But in AoE, it's also good as long as you are spreading the dot. So aim shot one target, then multi-shot, then aim shot the next target. And then the other legendary you might see is going to be Surging Shots. This is good if you are Kyrian. If you're Kyrian, this is probably the better one to run with overall. And then the last one that we want to talk about really quick to highlight is going to be Eagle Talon's True Focus. This one's fun, but still just not worthwhile yet because we cannot use our Calling the Shots. If they retool this or retool Master Marksman like it was in BFA, Eagle Talons would be pretty good, but as it sits right now, it is the 3rd best, and it's really not even close to the other 2. It lags way behind Serpent Stalkers, and it's still not nearly as good as Surging Shots. As for consumables, main stat is still king. So for your flask, obviously you choose your agility flask. For pots, for pre-pots, which I guess they're really not pre-pots anymore, but I would choose agility as well. I prefer them. Food would be main stat, so agility. If you don't have those, or if someone's not dropping a feast, I would suggest mastery is the second best. For gems, I would choose either critical strike or mastery. Same way goes for your enchants. The reason I would choose mastery in some spots is that I have 37% crit on my hunter right now. I feel like that's probably a little overkill. I would rather do, 0.8% more damage than have half a percent more chance to crit. That's just me. That's kind of like min-maxing, but I would choose either one of those two. And then for your weapon enchant, I would use Shadow Core Oil, obviously, and then I would also use the Optical Target Embiggener. It gives you I think it's like 303 crit strike for 10 seconds. It actually procs quite a bit, and I actually prefer that, and it's much, much cheaper than the other options for your weapon. So last but not least, I have macros. I don't use too many of them, and you can pretty much copy them down exactly how you see them on the screen if you'd like to use them, except for the counter shot, acceleration, and kill shot. I just see right after tooltip, you need to do space and then that name if you want to see the tooltip. Otherwise, for the counter shot one there, that one is really good. It works if you have a focus or if you don't have a focus. For example, on the Council of Blood, if you need to interrupt Freyda, that is really good if you have her set as your focus, where you can keep targeting something else. It was really good for the first boss in Temple of Sethralis as well. Exhilaration there is basically if you need your heal really fast and you need to stop casting, it's just a stop casting macro there. Same way goes for kill shot. If it's very important and you're casting a steady shot and you have like one last second to use your kill shot or die, I would suggest making sure you can use that kill shot. And then misdirection, you can see there, that's just a targeting macro. There is See, I'm targeting Zaft, which is my tank. There I would just change whatever my target would be, whether that be your pet, or whether that be the tank in your Mythic Plus or your raid, and then it obviously casts your misdirection. And then finally is my True Shot macro that has my trinket and racial built in. It just has the tooltip of True Shot there, and then you see where it says use 14. 14 is the bottom trinket on your character sheet, and 13 is the top. It just depends on which one you're needing to use. And then of course I also have it set to my racial, which all of them share a 2-minute cooldown, so it's nice and perfect for what I'm trying to do. So thanks for checking out my video, guys. I hope this helped you if you're picking up Marksman for the first time or coming back to it here in Shadowlands. I try to make this one pretty much short, sweet, and to the point, give you your options, and I hope that you will consider subscribing to me if you haven't here on YouTube already, and be sure and follow me over at Twitch at twitch.tv/Mr. Eggplant. I'm not really streaming a ton right now. If I am, I'm trying to do some vintage video game stuff over there, just some different things as we're waiting for 9.1 and Chains of Dominance. I look forward to making a 9.1 video for you guys once that does go live here, hopefully, before the summer ends, but we'll just have to wait and see. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there, guys, and I'll see you in my next video.